Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. I'm the Book Geek, also known as Kiava, and today I'm going to do the TBR tag. So I saw this tag and thought it would be fun to participate in this one. There are 12 questions. Question number 1 is, how do you keep track of your TBR pile? So for me, I'm a list girl. I like to write out lists. And so one way that I keep track of my TBR pile is I created a list of books that I had wanted to read for the 2020 year. I have hundreds of unread books. So I have a notebook that has every book I own written down in it. And then I have my yearly TBR notebook. So at the end of a year, I will start compiling a list for books that I think I might want to get to for the following year. And so that's what I did in 2019 to help me create my 2020 TBR yearly list. So I have a list, a notebook with my yearly TBR list, and a notebook that has every book that I own written in it. That is how I keep track of my TBR list. Question number 2 is your TBR mostly print or ebook? I do have a lot of books, a lot of ebooks saved on my phone, but most of my TBR is actual print books. I actually enjoy reading a physical copy of a book, holding it in my hand and owning that physical copy of a book, even though I'm running out of room to put books, but I just can't help myself. But I do have quite a lot of ebooks, but my TBR pile mostly consists of print books. Question number 3 is, how do you determine which book from your TBR to read next? So I have a TBR wheel that I spin sometimes. It has different prompts on the wheel, and whichever prompt the wheel lands on, I'll figure out a book from my TBR that matches that prompt, and sometimes I'll add a book from my overall TBR that's not on 2020's list to match the prompt, and so that will be a new book that gets added on to my 2020 list. I also give myself monthly challenges. For instance, one month I challenge myself to read 40 pages a day. Another month I challenge myself to read all books by Black authors. Another month I challenge myself to read all books by female authors. And so I will find books to read that match these challenges and prompts. And those are some ways that I figure out which book I want to read next. Question number 4 is a book that's been on your TBR list the longest. Overall, I have so many books on my shelves that have been sitting there for years that I really need to read. But for this question, I'm going to stick strictly to my 2020 TBR list. Some of the books that are on my 2020 TBR list that have been on my current and past TBR list the longest are The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. This is one that's been on my TBR list. Every year I say I'm going to read this book and I never get to it, and then it rolls over into the next year. And so this one is on my 2020 reading list, and this is the one that's been there the longest because it keeps getting rolled over year after year. So this could count as one. Also, The Maze Runner by James Dashner, another one that just keeps getting rolled over that I haven't managed to read yet. Or Divergent by Veronica Roth. This is another one that I need to get to. All of these dystopian stories that I'm dying to read, but they have been on my TBR list for the longest. They've been on my shelves for a long time, but they've been consistently on my TBR list throughout the years for the longest. And so I really need to get to these books. Number 5 is a book you recently added to your TBR. Oh my God, I have so many of those. One could be The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta. This could qualify as one. Children of the Dark A Bookstagram friend of mine sent me this book, and so when people send me books, I'm going to try and make them priority instead of having them sitting on the shelves for a long time. So he sent me this book this year, so I've added this one to my TBR list for 2020. Also, the one by John Mars. My sister purchased this book for me for my birthday. Once again, it was a gift, so I'm making this one priority, so I've added it to my 2020 reading list. As well as The Stars and the Blackness Between Them and Felix Ever After, also a gift that I'm making priority. Not to mention, I was dying to read this one, and I would have added it to my 2020 TBR list regardless. Number 6, a book in your TBR strictly because of its beautiful cover. So for me, that's going to be this chunky book, Les Miserables. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I saw this gorgeous cover of this book at Barnes & Nobles, and I just had to have it in my collection. I only bought this book because it is simply gorgeous. The detail, and then the page edges, the inside. I am such a sucker for a beautiful book. It's beautiful. I don't even really quite know what this story is about. I know that it's been adapted into a film, a play as well, I believe, but I don't really know what the story is about. Another book that could also qualify for this question is Crown of Feathers. I bought this book simply because of the gorgeous bird on the cover. I don't even know what this book is about. I have never read the synopsis for this book. I bought it because it was pretty. Number 7 is a book on your TBR that you never plan on reading. These aren't books that are on my 2020 TBR list, but these are some of the unread books that are on my overall TBR. These are mostly books that were given to me because people know that I like to read. I have friends that will just pick me up books randomly. A Kingdom Keeper's Adventure, The Syndrome by Riley Pearson. There was an organization that was giving away free books. A friend of mine who knows that I love to read just grabbed a random bag of books, and this was one of the books that was in there. This is not necessarily a book that I would ever pick up on my own, but it looks like a book that I could probably read along with my son. So that's probably a way for me to get through some of these books that I never plan on reading myself. Another one would be Kingdom Keeper's Dark Passage. Same author, so I'm assuming this is part of a series. And just judging off the cover, it looks like something that my 10-year-old son would enjoy. Another one is The Purple Emperor. This is the sequel to Fairy Wars by Herbie Brennan. I don't even have the first one. Don't know if I'm going to ever read this. Like I said, I might create a challenge just to get through some of these books and then unhaul them, or read it along with my son. But I don't think I'm going to go out and buy the first book just so I can read the second one when I have no interest in reading these books. I don't even know what these books are about. Also, I don't think I'm ever going to read The Boyfriend List. I was sent a mystery box, a big box of mystery books, and this was one of the books that was in there, so I didn't know what type of books I was going to be receiving. It was a mystery box. Some of the books in there were books that I did think that I would enjoy, but this one doesn't seem like one that I would enjoy or ever plan on reading. This is another book that was inside the mystery box, and that is Pool Boys by Aaron Haft. Looks cheesy, doesn't look like a book that I would ever pick up. It is a fairly short book, and in the future I am going to be challenging myself to read all short books for the month, so I might just pick this one up just to meet that challenge and get through it. You never know, some of these books might actually surprise me, but at the moment I plan on never reading these books. Number 8 is an unpublished book on your TBR that you're excited for. So this book isn't necessarily on my 2020 TBR, but it is a book that I would love to add to my overall TBR. And so that book is Smash It by Francina Simone. This book is due to be released in September. And if you don't know, Francina is actually a booktuber herself. So go check out her channel if you'd like to see some of her content. Smash It is about a young girl named Olivia that makes a fuck it list. She plans to be bold and stand out. Because of this, Olivia now has new friends and has gained new opportunities, including the attention of 3 different boys. I can't wait to see how this character is going to handle all of this. It sounds really fun. I can't wait to read it. And the cover is magnificent as well. Number 9 is a book on your TBR that basically everyone's read but you. And so I'm going to repeat these same books again, and that is The Hunger Games, The Maze Runner, and Divergent. I feel like I'm the only person in the entire world that has not read these books. And The Hunger Games has actually released a new book this year, and I'm way behind. So I really need to get on top of that. There are several others. You know, I don't always read the newest released books. Yeah, I'm behind in all the hype books, but I'm making it. Number 10 is a book on your TBR that everyone recommends to you. And I don't know how to answer this question because I'm the one that usually does the recommending. I can't think of one single book that I often hear recommended to me. So I can't answer this question. 11 is a book on your TBR that you're dying to read. And for me, for my 2020 TBR, that's going to be Outlander. Listen, I got into this show late in the game. I just happened to click on it one day on Netflix and fell in love with this show. And so because of that, I am dying to read the book. Just absolutely dying to read it. I haven't picked it up yet because it's so big and the print is so small. But it is a series that I am dying to start. And this is the first book, and I really need to get to this and start this series before the year is over. This year was supposed to be the year of series for me. I had promised to start all these series that I wanted to get through. At least start the first book in different series that I needed to get through. And then I got really depressed. You know, I lost my grandmother, and COVID hit, and then I was without a job. I was worried about money, and then all this racial tension in the air, all of that combined really affected my mental stability. And so I fell into this deep depression, and I was really procrastinating, doing a lot of things, and I wasn't really doing any reading. So I kind of fell behind in my reading, and I don't know if I'm going to make it to a lot of these series that I wanted to start, but I have to at least start this one this year. I have to. And I need to get caught up with the last 2 seasons of the show as well. I freaking love the show. It was my new favorite show of the year. Finally, number 12 is how many books are on your TBR shelf? If we're just talking about my 2020 TBR shelf, then originally I had planned to read 48 books. So originally I had 48 books on that TBR list. But I've added new books, and so the number is probably up around 56, maybe 60 books now. That I probably won't get to, but I'm going to just see how many I can get through. But if we're talking about my overall TBR shelf, all my unread books, that's somewhere up in the hundreds, because I have well over 400 books by now, and I have well over 100 unread books. So to count them would be too much. Okay guys, so that is it. That is all the questions. I'm going to list the questions down below in the description box in case any of you would like to join in on this tag. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoy my content. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.